Welcome to our podcast on navigating chaos with AncientFuture.Today and the Grand Council.
And so we come to meet and to greet with each and every one of you with great love and great respect for where you are in your journey of navigating chaos. And we are speaking to you today about the possibilities of reimagining life as you might have thought it might have been in your years of 2020 or 19 and 2020, 21, and going forward perhaps to 2024, 26. What on earth, and we mean this in literal terms, will your lives be like between 2021, where we are now in September speaking to you, and let's say September of 2026, 5 years from now? Can you even begin to imagine? For how could you possibly have imagined that the past 2 years of your lives worldwide would have been spent in wearing a mask and getting your vaccines or choosing not to, and staying at home and working from home and teaching your children at home and paring down your socializing and learning how to use social media platforms and listening to talking heads telling you this, that, and the other about your lives, and on and on and on and on and on, looking for the truth, sifting through completely differing opinions about science and about social responsibility and about whatever. How could you possibly have imagined that your reality would take that turn as a world? Only those who have been involved in the machinations and the imaginings of how that might work had an idea about how that might work. And they are the experiment designers and the implementers of the experiment. And blissfully for them, most of you have gone along with the experiment willingly. And so it has been a real run for them for the last 2 years to see how all the careful planning and all the careful imagining and all the careful pieces here, there, and everywhere, and all of the systems that underpin societies, both local, regional, national, and global, have had to be organized and systematized, and certain flagship events have had to occur in order to put into place the proclivity for humanity to agree to experiment in the ways that you have for the last 2 years. So all of you have been willing partners one way or another, whether you are on the acquiescence side of the experiment. If you are on the control group part of the experiment, that would be those individuals that have not engaged in a direct way with opinions this way or another, in influencing sort of positions or another. Or if you have been the active resistance, the active voices of opinion and opposition, those three groups have all helped to imagine this experiment into place and have kept it into place nicely for 2 years at least. All of you have been instrumental in helping that particular experiment, that particular aspect or iteration, perhaps is a better way of putting it, of reality, and that particular way of taking the focus off of chaos and putting some order to it. All of you have had a part to play, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter your demographic, your geographical location in the world. All of you have taken part in the experiment. Even those who have just ignored it are part of the control group. So you see, it has been an experiment in oneness. And how has it gone for you? How has these last 2 years of your lives been for you? Some of you have reimagined yourselves. Some of you are healthier now than you've ever been before physically. Your families are working better. Your communication has improved. Your balance of life is better. Others of you have decided that the people that you live with are no longer suitable for you as family or partners or neighbors or community or whatever, and you are making those changes as we speak. Others of you have gotten fat and lazy and depressed and confused and suicidal and homicidal and all of the other things. And others of you have decided it's okay for you to go and steal things from other people or take their lives or decide that they are part of a racial demographic that is at fault for something that is faultless in a sense, if you look at it in the larger scheme of things. So your racism, you've given rein to your racism, to your fear that the other, whoever has a different spacesuit, somehow is your enemy. Of course, illusions. Of course, illusions. So take an inventory of yourself and see, are you in the control group that is essentially disengaged from the conversation or has just had private conversations and has disengaged from all of the regulations and restrictions other than just keeping a low profile? Or have you been one of those who has acquiesced to the restrictions and regulations and been a good soldier and moved into the requirements of the experiment? Or have you been one of those with a loudspeaker and a ready firebomb ready to make your opinions known along with the other angry mob? Matters not. All of you have been critical to the experiment, and you are critical to it continuing. If you imagine that it will. If you begin to imagine that it will stop now, because you will have it stop now, whether you're in the control group, the acquiescence group, or the group that are angry, you will stop it because you will stop believing that it is real. You will stop imagining how it can get worse. You will stop putting your lifeblood into someone else's experiment and you will start one of your own. And that, if it is based in sovereignty and mastery, will take you wherever your blueprint will take you with this. At first, you have to believe that you have a right to be sovereign. You must first accept and believe, if you choose, we care not which one you choose. We are holding out a possibility for you that you are a master on a masterful journey, and that your choice for positioning in the experiment globally has been written in your blueprint as a way for you to either become healthier and happier or clearer or less confused or more criminal or more active or whatever it is that has happened for you over the 2 years. Many of you have become much clearer about the balance that you would like to have in your lives, for you have seen the imbalances that you have lived for decades. Working too much, playing too little, drinking too much, eating too much junk food, all of the kinds, not drinking enough water, not playing enough with your children, not listening to them when they speak to you, not calling your mother often enough because lo and behold, she's an older person and you thought she would be just fine without you paying attention, or whatever the nuances or the very big issues are that you have addressed over the last 2 years, silently or collectively, verbally or just in your emotional bodies. However you have addressed these issues, you have decisions to make now, if you wish. We called this part of the episode, or this episode, reimagining. So now we get to a reimagining place in our narrative. For you have imagined yourselves into however you have interfaced with your last 2 years. Now you can reimagine yourself into something completely different if you choose. Now, does that mean that you'll be able to travel without vaccinations or swabs up your nose? No, not for quite some time, because you have given your power to the system that put that regulation into place to begin with as the experiment. And they will not let go of that power easily. So you will have to make decisions on how often you travel, what you say about the regulations when you are given a voice or when you can take a voice, whether it is through blogging or someone saying to you that you can't travel and you say to them, well, it's time for those regulations to be gone. How much longer do you think they will be in place, sir? Thank you very much, sir. So you do arrested for being a protester or a rioter or a troublesome individual. No, you are very polite and you are voicing your concerns that these regulations are continuing ad infinitum. So you use your voice as you are willing in your particular choice to position to what you have all imagined into place as the experiment. So now reimagining, are you going to be more vocal? Are you going to be less angry and be more positive? Are you going to get off your couch and start exercising so that you are amongst those fit enough to take on whatever is ahead? Planting gardens in your community, for example, a very good idea. All of you can be, and hopefully in the new reimagined possibilities for the planet, where everyone could eat properly every day that they choose to eat without having to break the bank to buy expensive foods, that you could go to your own or your neighbors or your community's garden and pick what you need for your dinner, and then spend an hour or two every week helping to trim or prune or compost or do whatever in exchange for the energy of the food that you are gifted from the earth, etc., etc. Reimagine what is possible. Is it possible that everyone could have clean water on your planet? Is it possible that sex trafficking and child pedophilia would stop because it is no longer acceptable in any way, shape, or form? And that would mean pornography would have to go away as well. And those of you who are listening to this, who have been there, done that, either as the perpetrator or the victim or the designer of the systems or whatever, take heed, for you can reimagine yourself in these scenarios and must reimagine yourselves first before you give voice to helping to eradicate these distortions of human understandings. What about freedom to move about the place? What about ceasing war everywhere in every form, whether it is war with weapons or war with words or war with energy or all of this disparaging that goes on between us or between the preference groups or whatever it may be? All of it can be reimagined. What is it in your life that you find now tedious? In other words, whether it is COVID related or not. Do you find it tedious that in the country of the United of the States, so to speak, that crime rates are off the charts and that there are enough guns in the homes of normal people, quote unquote, that there are more than one gun per American citizen? It's unfathomable to those of us that look into your world and see how you are all living, seemingly by choice. So reimagine, if you will, how you would like to live the rest of your one precious life, how you would like to envision your families, your children, your grandchildren, your elders, your friends your extended families, your communities, your nations, and your world. Reimagine it. And reimagine it in ways that are good for you and everyone else. Why not? The experiment that you are undergoing right now is not. We can tell you that for sure. And it has had its good points. It has slowed everything and everyone down. And those of you that have chosen to take it as an opportunity to think and to imagine better things for yourselves and others have used it in a way that is positive. Now we invite all of you everywhere, everyone in the world, to reimagine a world that is good for each and every living being, plant, animal, human, in, on, or around your planet, and what is good for the planet herself. For she has hosted you for trillions of years as you have visited and learned. And it is her turn also to be reimagined into something that is valued and honored and blessed by your presence on her surface and in her bowels and in her skies. Treat her well, treat yourselves well. Imagine that. Treating yourself and all others well. And until we have the pleasure and the honor, we ask you to reimagine and to imagine something glorious. Every blessing and love. And for now, adieu.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Navigating Chaos, podcasts with the Grand Council.